Coming up tonight on the news at 5. The Blackfeet Reservation is on lockdown starting this Sunday because of COVID-19. We'll tell you some of the specifics on how it will work. Plus,
I'm Mike Dennison in Helena. Coming up, we'll fact check the latest attack ads in Montana's U.S. House race.
From Montana's news leader, this is MTN News at 5.
good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the News at 5. I'm Andy Curtis. Thanks for joining us on air, online, or on your favorite streaming device. Montana reported 5 additional COVID-19 deaths today. The deaths included 1 in Yellowstone County, 3 in Roosevelt County, and 1 in Wheatland County. These deaths bring the statewide death total to 170. The deaths come as health officials recorded another 323 confirmed cases with more than 2,700 currently active cases. Currently, 140 people are hospitalized by the virus. Around 75% of all the people in Montana who have become infected, though, have recovered. And tonight, tribal members on the Blackfeet Reservation are bracing for a 14-day lockdown. Tribal council members met this morning to hash out the details. MTN's Zach Shermley was in Browning today, just 2 days before the shutdown is set to begin.
We're building the plane as it's flying.
Over the last 2 weeks, there's been a spike in coronavirus cases on the Blackfeet Reservation. There are 90 active cases on the reservation with hundreds of people in quarantine.
We don't know what to expect from day to day.
The Blackfeet Tribal Council approved the 14-day shutdown on Thursday at the request of public health officials. Blackfeet Tribal Council members are still deliberating about what the measure is going to look like.
And the term shutdown can be taken many different ways, and that's what we're trying to clarify is it shutdown or lockdown? And we should have some answers for the community and the public here within the next day or two.
Non-essential outings will be discouraged and people are getting ready.
Getting prepared for the shutdown that's supposed to happen on Sunday.
I'm here at Glacier Family Foods where people are stocking up on perishable items, things like meat and ham.
This has been a challenge. We have started taking precautions right from the very beginning.
Although the details are still being hashed out by tribal officials, people will be allowed outside of their homes for essential outings, and violation enforcement will be handled on a case-by-case basis. But McNeely says it's all about the end goal.
But that 14-day time frame should curb things, and that's the goal of this.
It's a little stressful, but we're here for our people.
In Browning, Zach Shermley, MTN News.
The Browning Public Schools Board of Trustees announced that they'll continue with distance learning during the shutdown. They'll be delivering meals in bulk to students once a week. And we are knocking on the door of the weekend, and to tell us what we can expect, Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz.
Ringing the doorbell, kicking the door.
Looking in the windows.
Looking through the mailbox slot. Hey, is anybody home? Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Looking at another stormy day, but it's mainly just wind, a few rain showers out and about there. Lake wind advisory, Fort Peck Reservoir there. If you're planning on doing any fishing this weekend, yeah, it'll be a little choppy with a wind that will persist, and southeastern, south central Montana still under a red flag warning, but that's because of the wind and low humidity. You know what? Go fly a kite. That's what you might be saying to the wind. Hopefully we'll get rid of the wind here pretty soon. We'll talk about a mid-weekend mix of a little rain and also a little snow. And October, it's right around the corner, and so is beautiful weather. More on the forecast coming up.
A Yellowstone County judge has tossed out a 2018 Montana law that restricts the number of ballots that can be dropped off at election offices. Judge Jessica Fair wrote in a Friday ruling that the Ballot Interference Prevention Act is unconstitutional and infringes upon the fundamental right to vote of tribal members on reservations. Now, the ruling was a victory for tribal advocacy groups who argued that tribal members in rural areas with limited transportation benefit from allowing one person to collect a large number of ballots to drop off. The suit was brought forward by Western Native Voice and Montana Native Voice, who were joined by multiple Montana tribes. The Ballot Interference Prevention Act was placed on the 2018 ballot by the Montana legislature and passed with 63% of the vote. It restricted who could collect ballots and limited an individual to dropping off no more than 6 ballots each. Defendants have not indicated if they will appeal. And U.S. House candidates Matt Rosendale and Kathleen Williams will square off Saturday night in a debate sponsored by MTN and on our MTN stations. In advance of that debate, MTN chief political reporter Mike Dennison takes a closer look at the facts behind the rhetoric of the first TV attack ads rolled out by each candidate.
Republican Matt Rosendale's ad doesn't mince words in describing Democrat Williams.
The real Kathleen Williams, a radical activist and liberal from San Francisco.
Williams was born in an Army hospital in San Francisco and grew up in the Bay Area. But radical activist? She's lived in Montana since 1999, and her career has been as a researcher and advocate on water and land policy and conservation. The main events in this ad, however, are guns and law enforcement.
Kathleen Williams backs gun control and says she's proud to earn an F from the NRA. And while businesses are looted and destroyed, the Williams Coalition pushes to defund the police.
Williams does have an F rating from the NRA and said in her 2018 campaign for this same office that she's proud to have it and that it stood for fearless. She supports universal background checks for firearm purchases and says she'd consider restricting the ownership or use of high-capacity magazines. But she has never said she supports defunding the police and is opposed to it. The Rosendale campaign says its ad is referring to groups that support Williams and also support the defund the police movement. In Williams' ad, she says this about Rosendale's background.
Some things just don't fit, like my millionaire opponent in Montana. He's pushed an agenda to help land developers, like himself.
Rosendale's financial disclosure statement says he has assets worth between $10 million and $50 million. And he has worked as a housing and land developer, both in Maryland, where he grew up, and in Montana, where he moved to in 2002. As a legislator, he voted for a pair of bills supported by developers to narrow local review of proposed subdivisions, bills that passed but were vetoed by Democratic Governor Brian Schweitzer. But then we have this from Williams.
And he took thousands from the insurance industry and would let them raise our premiums and deny coverage for pre-existing conditions.
That latter claim is based on Rosendale's call to repeal the 2010 Affordable Care Act, President Obama's landmark health care bill. That law bars insurers from discriminating against people with pre-existing health conditions. Rosendale has received campaign donations from insurers, but it's a tiny fraction of his total money. And as state insurance commissioner, he's taken steps to lower insurance premiums, such as his push for a 2019 reinsurance law. He also says he supports maintaining protections for those with pre-existing conditions. So, some truth in these ads, and some exaggeration, and some misleading statements as well. Tune in Saturday night, and we'll be asking about some of these claims, and you'll hear it straight from the candidates. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
The debate between Rosendale and Williams begins Saturday at 6 p.m. on MTN stations, and you can also watch the debate by downloading the KTVH app for your Roku, Apple TV, or other streaming device. Well, the state of Montana's annual surplus sale is going on as scheduled this weekend, but the format is much different than in past years. Every fall, the General Services Division sells off vehicles and other equipment that state agencies are no longer using. Usually there is a live auction at the state surplus yard in Helena, but this year, because of COVID-19, they've switched to an online auction. Today, the public was allowed to preview the available items. More than 500 lots are available to bid on, from cars and trucks to boats and snowplows, even tools and other machinery. Leaders say they've received bids for every item, but because it's now online, they've also seen some interest from people as far away as New Jersey.
This auction alone puts about $1 million back into the state coffers. But the other goal of this is to get equipment out to either other agencies or eventually the public, so that instead of going to a landfill or a salvage yard, it's actually being put into use.
Bids will be accepted online through tomorrow afternoon, and you can find a link to the auction information on our website. And when we come back, Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenance will have your complete weekend forecast. And later, one Montana woman who lost her father by suicide started an initiative to help others. We'll have that full story when we come back.
Starts now with Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenance.
Today, taking a look at Big Sky Resort and a few flakes of snow flying there. We had a few flakes. You can see a few of those white dots up there around East Glacier, the Two Medicine Bridge. Probably a few raindrops mixed in there as well, with temperatures in the low 40s. Helena, a few raindrops here throughout the afternoon. Current temperature of 63 degrees. And the wind, not terrible, but it's noticeable. Some gusts up to 20-25 miles per hour there. And around Great Falls, cloudy day, 59. Southwest winds gusting up to 36 miles per hour right now. 50s in the western part of the state, a few 70s out in the eastern part of the state, but mostly cloudy and blustery day for just about everybody. Here are the sustained winds, and another pretty windy one up around Cut Bank and the Rocky Mountain front. Not as bad as yesterday, but nonetheless, a very windy day here around the state. And tomorrow will be worse here. Look at the winds going through the overnight hours. Anywhere you see that purplish color, we're talking maybe gusts up to 60 miles per hour. Rocky Mountain front, maybe out there around Judith Gap as well. And look at this tomorrow morning. Very windy conditions throughout the state throughout the day. So not like today where we had some calm conditions early on and the wind picked up through the late morning into the afternoon. It's windy all day long for Saturday. Sunday, an element of wind, but not as bad as Saturday will be. A little moisture, cooler temperatures, certainly good for the fire situation, although southeast Montana is still under a red flag warning. Couple of drops have been falling here, a few flakes of snow into the higher terrain. Nothing really too terribly heavy up along the High Line. Might be seeing a stray shower out there around Malta and Dodson. There you can see more in the way of wet weather through Washington, northern Idaho, and parts of Oregon as well. And that moisture plume continues. We're going to see a little more moisture as we get into the middle part of the weekend. And I kind of sound like a broken record talking about the Pacific Northwest and the Southeast here, but that's the way it's been all week long with kind of rain in the corners. That is still what was left of Tropical Storm Beta. So here we go through tonight. Maybe a couple of heavier showers mixed with snow up there around Glacier and moving right down the Continental Divide through the overnight hours into early tomorrow morning. Some snow into the higher terrain, snow showers, not talking a huge amount of snow. And for tomorrow, yes, it will be windy, but it will be a mostly sunny day. Comfortable with temperatures mainly in the 50s and the lower 60s. Saturday night, though, a little disturbance comes through the western part of the state, and look at that, a little in the way of some mixed rain and snow showers depending on elevation that could continue into early Sunday morning before we start to clear out the clouds and look at a really nice Sunday afternoon. Snowfall amounts into the mountains generally above about 6,000 feet where there will be a little light accumulation. Could have some snow though all the way down to maybe 5,000 feet at times Saturday night into Sunday morning. Tonight, a very windy night, maybe a few rain showers there up on the High Line and a couple of mixed rain and snow showers on the Continental Divide and into the Little Belts. And here's the forecast for tomorrow. Another very windy day, cool temperatures, but mostly sunny skies for just about everybody. So at least we'll have that going for us. Wind gusts up to 50, 60, maybe even 70 miles per hour, especially up there on the Rocky Mountain front. Here's the 7-day forecast. So a windy, cool day for the Helena area tomorrow. But we will have mostly sunny skies Saturday night into Sunday morning. Good likelihood of a few rain showers mixed with some snowflakes. Again, all the way down maybe to the valley floors on Sunday morning. Just a few wet flakes there. For next week, though, the end of September, the beginning of October does not get any better with sunny skies and temperatures into the 70s. And Great Falls, very windy this weekend. Not as much in the way of showers, mixed rain and snow Saturday night into Sunday. And next week really does look fall fantastic.
Well, men are 4 times more likely to die by suicide than women in the U.S., and many of them are working-aged men. That's a staggering statistic by Man Therapy, a nonprofit organization. One Montana woman who lost her father by suicide started an initiative called Ask in Earnest to advocate to rural Montana communities. Here's MTN's Phoenix O'Connor with more.
According to American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, white males accounted for nearly 70% of suicide deaths in 2018. Dick Tyler is a multi-generational Montanan.
A textbook Montana farmer, hardworking person who liked to laugh. He always enjoyed hearing a good story, and he always liked telling good stories. He was a good storyteller.
Darla Tyler McSherry is describing her father, who died by suicide in 2016. Many times, it's the loved ones picking up the pieces and may end up themselves at a higher risk for suicide.
I think many people who've lost loved ones to suicide struggle with guilt, and I'm one of them. We know what we know at the time, and we do our best that we can do at that time.
The agricultural lifestyle also presents challenges. She said compared to other careers or jobs, those who work the land can't go home from the job.
And farmers and ranchers don't have that, so that can just really compound things because they can look out the window and always see several to-do projects.
The lack of access to health care, including mental health care in rural parts of the state, in isolation, can create additional stress.
Since 1999, in the United States, the U.S. has had a 25% increase in suicide. And here in Montana, we've had a 38% increase.
McSherry is giving back to a rural Montana community, starting an initiative called Ask in Earnest. The name stems from memories her father's friends shared of him.
He would stop and he would ask in earnest how you are doing. And he wasn't doing it to be nosy or gossipy. He just genuinely cared about how you and your family were doing.
Part of asking in earnest is asking that simple question, how are you doing? That could help give someone that's struggling hope.
With the information that we know about farmers and ranchers being more at risk for suicide, we have the potential to save lives.
For MTN News, I'm Phoenix O'Connor.
Coming up next on the news at 5, it's Friday Night Football. MTN's Sam Hoyle will have a preview of some of tonight's matchups. That's when we come back.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching MTN News at 5.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Friday, and that means football. And the Helena Capital Bruins will be hosting the Kalispell Flathead Braves tonight at Vigilante Stadium. MTN's Sam Hoyle caught up with the Bruins to see how they're feeling ahead of the big matchup.
The Helena Capital Bruins football team isn't off to the best start in this season. They're 0-2, but as they make the jump into Week 3, they'll finally have their first home game on the season. They'll play host to the Kalispell Flathead Braves, and players are excited to hopefully book their first win on the season at home.
It's nice to be here. It's nice to be, getting our pregame at our own school, doing our own thing. And, I'm kind of looking at the bright side, but we played against two of the toughest teams in this conference to start the year, and I think that prepared us for the rest of the year.
And though playing at home means a few more fans in the stands, the Bruins are more focused on the field.
I'm more worried about what's on the field, but if my parents are there, then I'm fine.
The Bruins, the Braves, they'll kick off tonight at 7 o'clock at Vigilante Stadium. Reporting in Helena, Sam Hoyle, MTN Sports.
Thanks, Sam, and we'll be right back after this short break.
When we welcome our West Coast viewers, the new police video that has suddenly surfaced from the night Breonna Taylor was killed, prompting new calls for transparency. Plus, we go aboard Air Force combat exercises in sight of Russia, the message the U.S. is sending when we see you tonight for Nightly News.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching MTN News at 5.
Welcome back, everybody. Here's a real feel-good story for you to send you into the weekend. As I often say around the office, rats often get a bad rap. But this rat is being handled and hailed as a hero for saving lives in Cambodia. Meet Magawa, an African giant pouched rat. He's found 39 landmines and 28 items of unexploded ordnance over the past 7 years. He and other rats are trained by a nonprofit group to detect the scent of the explosive chemicals and point them out to their handlers. And rats are light enough not to set off landmines when they walk over them. He's the group's best performer and was given a gold medal designed to fit on his work harness. Well, thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here tonight at 10.